we were really excited that to come into Detroit during the worst time, 2007, 2008, and bring this type of organization, and educational opportunities to Detroit kids was great. The children's chorus began in 2007. 2 years prior to that, David DiChiara asked me if I would start a children's chorus. And of course, I worked with the kids for many years as an ad hoc. So if we needed a children's chorus for Carmen, they would come in, rehearse for maybe a month and a half, and then they do the performance, and that'd be the end of their tenure with us at Michigan Opera Theater. And so this was a different type of project because he wanted something that would be a long term. And so I did a lot of research and found out there were very few that had performance aspects of being like children doing their own opera as the leads, as well as the chorus. So there were like a handful in the country that had done it. And I did a lot of talking to Anne Gay, who was in Toronto, about this, and she gave me some great suggestions. And I researched, okay, how many children's operas are there that only require children to sing? And there weren't very many. So I went back to David D. and I said that I'd like to do this, and we'll have the ages of 10 to 16, about 50 kids, and we'll meet every Monday night. But one of the things is the fall, we would concentrate on singing technique, working with conductors, and then performing on the main stage it was called a Winter Fantasy. So it's like our showcase for the fall. And it also served as a fundraiser for us, because he said, well, if you start this choir, you're going to have to be able to fund it too. So we had our fundraiser. And then in the spring, one of the things with this is that we wanted to have the kids perform in their own opera on our stage. So the kids got an opportunity to work with professionals, and they're on the stage. And I should also add that if we have any other choruses, like in the main stage operas like Carmen or Bohème or Pagliacci, these kids would be the ones that would be performing in that too. So they had a very win-win situation. They worked with professionals from all over the world, and yet they did their own performance in which they were the leads as well as chorus. And a lot of the other children's choruses in the country that had this performance type opportunities had the leads as maybe young artists, studio artists or something like that, but not children. So we were really excited that to come into Detroit during the worst time, 2007, 2008, and bring this type of organization, and educational opportunities to Detroit kids was great. So, and David DiChiara was really supportive.
What kind of reaction do you see from kids and their families when you take them on that first tour of the Detroit Opera House and show them the stage and the glorious theater that they'll be performing in?
Well, I think they're sort of speechless, because we do have an orientation day where we take the parents and the kids. We show them the building, and then of course we do a tour and on the stage. So they get to stand on the stage and look out, and we have this tremendous opportunity for them. And no, they're sort of like awestruck, and yeah, it's just really a lot of fun.
Well, there's a change of plans for May 22nd with the opera, The Very First Green Thing. Let's talk about that. But first, what's the opera about?
Well, it's The Very Last Green Thing, and what it's about is that children in 1999 put different items into a time capsule, and one of the items is a green thing. And then you have to go fast forward to 2492, and these kids in 2492 find the capsule, and they take things like gym shoes and bubbles, and they're curious, like, what is this? And then finally the green thing comes up, and they don't know what it is because they've never seen green, because everything is devastated and they have to wear, you know, glasses to go outside and mask and everything. So so it's about discovering the green thing. And there's a past chorus, the kids from 1999, that are sort of like talking to these kids in the future, 2492, and giving them the history of what happened. So
I should mention maybe that this was a piece that was selected before the world was turned upside down.
yes. Well, we had planned on having an Earth Day celebration, and our performance was April 25th, the public performance, and then a student dress we would do. But we were going to have a big celebration for Earth and invite, we actually had the Michigan Science Center. They were going to do partner with us and do a presentation on the stage. But this all went upside down. And March 16th was, you know, actually March 9th was our last rehearsal. And we were almost ready to perform. So yeah, it was a complete shock to the system, I have to say.
Well, this time around, we can't see the work performed at the Detroit Opera House or the Fisher Theater, as was planned in this case.
Yes. Yeah, this one was the Fisher.
Right. So what is happening? How will people see the very last green thing?
Well, they'll be either watching it on their phones or iPads or computers. What we did is that after the initial shock of having to cancel everything, one of the parents emailed me and said that, you know, do you have a recording of this that one of the kids that was singing in it, her brother would be able to take it and mix the sound with her voice, and then she'd have a recording of her doing this show. But we didn't have a recording of it. And then I started looking online and looking at the Zoom performances and everything that was virtual with choirs. But that was like 3 minutes of a piece. And then I got to think, well, I wonder if we could do this, just capture moments of this on video, put it together as an opera, but we would cut the scene change music because we don't need that anymore. And certain filler music, we could probably cut some of that. So we reduced it to about 30 minutes. I talked to Diana Huscello, who is the conductor of The Very Last Green Thing. And I said, hey, what do you think of this idea? And she also is the principal chorus conductor. And Jane Panikar, who's the prep conductor. So she has the kids that are 8 to 10, and Diana has them from 10 to 16. So what do you think about this idea? And we went, well, so we call it, let's make it a virtual opera project. And our chorus administrator, Toinette Nash, I talked to her because she would be interfacing with all the kids and getting the uploads of the videos. And then I talked with our stage director and I said, well, how would you like to try a different twist to this, making it into a virtual opera instead of the staged opera? So she thought about it and said, yeah, let's go for it. So the team was there, and our final person was Eric Longs, who was our videographer for MOT, and he would record all of our operas. So I said, Eric, what do you think about this idea? He says, well, let's do an experiment. So our experiment was March 30th, we announced to the kids that we're going to have a Zoom meeting, and we have an announcement to make. And so we asked them, would you like to try an experiment? So we had 28 kids participating at that point. And so we got all of the videos uploaded, and then we saw what it would look like the next week. And we thought, we can do this. So you're going to see, it's going to have scenes. Monica Essen, who is our resident designer, is making the title cards, and we're using some elements of her original design for the stage. We'll have video, and we'll have some graphics. And so then we'll weave this in and out, and we'll have, it's the whole story from beginning to end. A little different version though. You'll see kids in boxes rather than on the stage. And one of the challenges we had is that everyone's working from home. So, we had to tell them, find a wall that is sort of bare. Very difficult. Try and find places that are quiet. You know, figuring out what everyone's going to wear so they look like they had a uniform look. And then we had to, it's a learning curve of how to use a device to record. And one is not to hold it. You have to keep it down, otherwise it shakes. And so there are a lot of learning curves. We're still going through this, but you will see, you know, as I said, a virtual opera with some of the design elements. Not, we can't do everything. We won't have a set, and we don't have the costumes that we originally had, but it tells the story, and we're making art in a new way.
I can't wait to see and hear it. May 22nd brings the online performance of The Very Last Green Thing from Michigan Opera Theater Children's Chorus. It's part of the Michigan Opera Theater Learn at Home experience, which also includes the May 10th online presentation of HMS Pinafore from 2018. Suzanne Acton is director of the Michigan Opera Theater Children's Chorus. Thanks, Suzanne.
Thanks for having me.
For Detroit Public Television, I'm Peter Whorf.
You can find more at onedetroitpbs.org or subscribe to our social media channels and sign up for our One Detroit newsletter.